What's going on? Today's Saturday, and my name is Ben. I have a proposition for you guys. I'm very good at learning, and I'm very good at discovering things. I've run out of questions, and I've run out of ideas to educate myself upon, meaning I've run out of ideas to share with you. But I feel that you guys can help me by asking me new questions. So, it would mean a lot to me. Really, would mean a lot to me. If you guys would ask me questions that have to do with economics, financial matters, social matters, philosophical matters, scientific matters, it would give me something new to look forward to, an idea to conquer, an idea to think about. So if you guys wouldn't mind asking me those questions, I would love to share with my opinions. Now, I'll start off with a financial matter and I'll work my way to a philosophical matter. On Thursday and Friday, particularly on Friday, I proceeded to aggregate volatility calls. I'm worried more and more increasingly of the bullishness of the market. I note that some of the speculators of the Fed, particularly those who are of a more conservative nature, less dovish nature, what we call hawkish nature, are speculating that the market is reaching inappropriate valuations. And granted, while those individuals would be underwater at this point, since those speculations, I would note that back a few months ago I was making speculation that those who were turning bearish on the market at about 1750 were entirely wrong. And now that we're about 1880 to 1890 to, well, 1870 to 1890, I find it increasingly worrisome that my original prediction is wearing itself thin. And while I would never recommend that you short the ES, because if had I done so, you would have all blown up, I would once again recommend volatility to my 10 or 11 viewers. You guys seem to be somewhat loyal and somewhat faithful, which is really quite remarkable. Because, sure enough, as soon as I post a video, it's not a day or two later that I get 10 views and then it dies thin and nobody else watches. So there are 10 loyal viewers. And to you, I thank you, because it's you who give me a certain amount of curiosity and a certain amount of respect, because I know those who watch have something to them. So, once again, recommending a volatility procedure. I don't know what the story is. I don't know what happens next. I know that the Fed's QE is turning down a bit, and they're anticipating a flood into bonds from a stock market that may begin pulling back. And this is their exit strategy for bonds. At the same time, I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen to stocks. I noticed that the yen is growing slightly stronger since its proposed fall by the BOJ just a year ago. I noticed the deflations of the world appear to be picking up. A cyclical event like 2012 every 2 years, and I noticed that economic news had taken a slight downturn within the recent year, and that it was about the time that we should begin to take worry. Now, while the numbers have begun to become good again, I don't know that that is what is going to continue, as prime numbers appear to come in pairs. So, in a financial matter, in a financial sense, I would recommend protection. Always good to strap on a Jimmy before the going gets tough. And especially in preparation of the going getting tough. One of the primary vehicles of the market that I've been predicting for the past year is a long ES long volatility, and that has done quite well. And while I have not shared that with you, I feel that it's okay to share with you now because I'm not entirely sure that that is going to be something that you want to continue to pursue. However, I feel that one of the things you could pursue is a long volatility should the volatility complex that you're using be a sufficiently accurate one. One in which the rollovers do not harm you, and one in which you're using an ETF which does not fade into zero. And those decisions will be your own, and those risks will be your own. However, I will tell you that I believe that some of the things you can do is, at this point in time, begin to look at fundamentally weak stocks and look at fundamentally strong stocks within particular industrial commodities and begin to arbitrage the pair. With the note that fundamental assets are more important. An example would be this. I would speculate that something like NUGT, which is an ETF based upon a triple leveraged ETF based upon the valuation of gold miners and actual gold miners as well as silver miners. An arbitrage opportunity may begin to open between those, and those of you who are smart enough to know immediately upon what I am talking will understand what I'm saying. If you take a look at the performance on Friday, I believe that that begins to indicate a clear arbitrage opportunity opening up within the next few days to a week. And you should take that into consideration. Now, we wasted about 8-9 minutes, and I'm going to jump into my next idea, which is one of an economics profession. I feel that people attack economists without understanding how difficult the profession actually is. And I believe that actually attacking economists is not one which is actually positive or beneficial or fruitful. I think it's a dangerous idea to just blindly attack other individuals without even a slight idea occurring to an individual of the ramifications of judging that individual. The judgment upon others often causes us to become hindered in our ability to make a decision, an accurate decision. And I believe that relegating yourself to a secluded and obscure division of minds, such as the paranoid or delusional, as some might say, we'll just say the paranoid doomsayer, is one in which you will never gain any ears to your own ideas. So for the time being, I will try and keep my predilections accurate and my predictions the same, as always. The point that I would be making would be that I believe what solves economic crises is money. But money in a mathematical and theoretical sense that we oftentimes don't think of. Economists, I often note, use tools which weaken their ability to forecast. They want to look at things like the GDP, things like unemployment, and things like the inflation rate as a tool. And I don't quite see them as a tool so much, or I'll refer to it as a whole item, so much as a series of parts, or so much as a series of processes. See, the GDP, in my opinion, is not an item that happens over a span of time in one conglomerate whole, but rather a series of actions that happen chronologically to within our 20/20 hindsight, create the appearance of a whole. But that there is no actual whole, that there is only a series of chronological events that create the appearance of a whole. That our hindsight is 20/20, and that is what makes us think there is a whole to even observe. And I thank the good dear Lord that our hindsight is 20/20. Because where would we be without even that? Nevertheless, I think that in order to correctly predict, one needs to take into account the series of steps that are involved in creating the whole. that in order to accurately predict something like the GDP, one would need to look at the largest drivers of them and note the particularly interesting periods of time within the year that they are operating with importance. And that by simply observing the important periods of time of the particular drivers of an economy, which yes gets very complicated and very detailed, by simply referring to the processes of the GDP, one can accurately predict the performance of the GDP. And while I understand that the individuals who are in control of an economy, such as central bankers, would never actually disclose their true understandings of an economy, because I believe it was an individual who said, and I accurately agreed with him, the job of a central banker is to lie. It is never to tell the truth. For an individual to tell the truth to a population which is known to panic and not handle situations of fear well, it is an entirely irresponsible decision to share with your predictions of doom as a figure of influence. So in that sense, I would say that. However, returning to my main point, I would argue that the things which are responsible for healing an economy are not necessarily more intervention. While intervention during a crisis is extremely important, intervention after a crisis is oftentimes a hindrance and extremely damaging. The things that would repair an economy would be, as I would view it, time. Time appears to be the primary repairing figure of an economy. And in the sense, that makes perfect mathematical sense. We hear the statement repeatedly over and over again that time is money. Well, I would argue that as long as an individual values their time and values their input, they are going to ask for a higher reward than any given individual. As long as there is a difference between talent and ability, there will be a demand for money. And I don't see that demand going to be reduced anytime soon. Talent always demands a greater reward. As long as it demands a greater reward, talent shall have money, and money shall exist. Now, as we move forward in time, of course, one can make the speculation that as technology becomes greater, we have no real need for money. But that is a speculation that exists very far away. That does not really occur to us. And I've heard other individuals who have made speculations of such things, and I have noted that their ability to accomplish things in the real time is minimal to non-existent. I would argue that people who make this speculation that money will no longer exist and money is no longer of any importance are individuals who are stuck so far in the future that they forget the now. And while that is clearly a future that will come one day, and there will be a point at which we are surprised by our own inability to accurately predict its correct timing, much in the same way that Rubini predicts collapses 50 years before they occur. For the time being, money is still an item of value, and money is still an item of importance, and one that will continue to control our day-to-day lives. So in that sense, the speculation that money will no longer be important is one for the future and not one for the now. So as a point though, would at 2008 be an appropriate time to sit back and allow the economy to crumble? Or would the Fed have been incorrect to initiate a program of quantitative easing in order to create a lowered interest rate? I feel that the Fed had a duty to increase to decrease the interest rate to increase the value of bonds, due to the fact that the Congress was spending wildly and uncontrollably in a stupid fashion. I feel that was kleptocracy at its finest, or at its worst in some people's perspectives. However, I would also argue that further continued action does not necessarily solve any problems. It solves the issue of bonds and interest rates for the short period of time. However, it does not resolve issues of how things can be changed after a crash, how things can be changed so that less action is needed by the Fed during the crash, right? Things that can move to ease a situation before a situation develops. And they can occur, and they do happen. However, in order to correctly do these things, people are going to have to begin to view an event as a series of steps, and to relive these events as the series of steps in their own minds so that they can create a more accurate forward movement. Anyways, as a final note, I would ask once again that you guys share with me some questions, things that you would like to know, whether they be social problems, economic problems, financial problems, and I will do my best to share with you in as clear a manner as I can, and accurate and honest a manner as I can, solutions to your problems. Now, on that note, I am out of beer, and I am still working on my systems, although I feel that I'm mostly done, and I am out of questions, so please share them with me, and I will try and share my answers with you. I've spent the past 3 years accumulating them, and I don't even know where to begin anymore. So, on that note, I'll begin a little music, and I'll leave you guys with some closing ideas, which I haven't even thought of, even to this moment. The reversal of things often incorporates a series of noticeable changes in a wave formation, regardless of the commodity and regardless of the item that you're looking at. When something becomes overvalued, its general or undervalued, its general approach toward a reversal is one of extreme volatility. And that's not just volatility in the sense that it's a fall, but volatility in the sense that the prices begin to move quickly, up or down. And I feel that there needs to be a better accounting or measurement of the pinching and release of commodity and forex and stock prices. When things become loose, when the juice is loose, you need to begin to take more accurate watching, more accurate analysis of things that are occurring. And for this time period, I feel that volatility is something you should look into.